You know that strange moment when you open your banking app and instead of immediately feeling stressed, you feel calm. Not rich, not financially independent, just calm. Like when buying groceries doesn't require mental math anymore. Or when your car needs repairs and you don't feel that sudden drop in your stomach. For a lot of people, that feeling sounds unrealistic. They assume peace of mind with money only happens when you reach $1 million, or at least a six-figure salary. But here's something most people completely misunderstand about wealth. There isn't just one number where things change. There are financial thresholds, invisible milestones where your relationship with money shifts in ways you don't expect. And one of the most important thresholds happens much earlier than people think, around $20,000. But here's the part that almost nobody talks about. The first $20,000 changes your life, but what happens after $20,000 changes it even more. My name is RJ, and I spend a lot of time studying money, financial psychology, and the patterns that separate people who slowly build wealth from those who stay stuck living paycheck to paycheck for decades. If you want to understand the real mechanics behind money, not the flashy get-rich-quick advice you see everywhere online, make sure you hit subscribe and drop a like if this video ends up changing the way you think about wealth. Because what we're about to talk about might completely change how you look at your finances. But before we dive into why everything changes even more after $20,000, let me ask you something. When you imagine someone building wealth, what do you picture? Maybe you imagine someone who inherited money, or someone working insane hours for decades until they slowly accumulate a fortune. But in reality, wealth building rarely works in a straight line. Instead, it happens in stages. Think of it like pushing a giant boulder up a hill. At the beginning, every inch is difficult. You push and push and push, but the progress feels painfully slow. Sometimes it even feels like the boulder might roll back down at any moment. That's exactly what building your first savings feels like. Every dollar requires discipline. Every sacrifice feels noticeable. And most people quit during this stage because it feels like nothing is changing. But eventually, something remarkable happens. You reach a point where the boulder starts moving more easily. The resistance decreases, momentum begins to build, and suddenly the effort required to keep moving forward becomes smaller. That turning point where the momentum begins often happens around $20,000. But here's where things get even more interesting. The biggest change at this level isn't just financial, it's psychological. When someone has little or no savings, their brain operates in what psychologists call survival mode. Every financial decision feels urgent, every expense feels dangerous, and every unexpected bill feels like a crisis waiting to happen. Your car breaks down, your laptop stops working, your rent increases. Each of these events becomes a financial emergency. And when your brain is constantly dealing with emergencies, something important happens. Your ability to think about the future disappears. You stop planning, you stop investing, you stop thinking about long-term opportunities, because all of your mental energy is focused on surviving the present moment. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire. Your brain simply can't prioritize long-term goals when immediate threats feel overwhelming. But once you build a financial cushion, something remarkable happens. Your brain finally gets breathing room. Instead of asking, "How do I survive until my next paycheck?" you start asking a completely different question. How can I grow what I already have? That single question marks the beginning of a completely different financial life. And the fascinating part is that this shift often happens long before someone becomes wealthy. Even modest savings can dramatically reduce financial stress. Research consistently shows that people with emergency savings experience higher financial confidence and better decision-making. But once that safety net grows to around $20,000, the effect becomes much stronger. Because now you're not just protected from small emergencies, you have options. And options change everything. But this is only the beginning, because after $20,000, something even more powerful begins happening. your money starts working with you. Let's imagine a simple scenario. Suppose you're saving about $1,000 every month and investing it with an average return of around 8% per year. Reaching your first $20,000 might take around a year and a half, and during that time, it feels slow, painfully slow. You're sacrificing things, you're staying disciplined, you're saying no to purchases that other people around you are making, and it often feels like you're doing all the work. But eventually, something remarkable happens. Your investments begin generating their own returns, and those returns start contributing to your progress. So the next milestone arrives faster. You're still saving the same amount, still investing the same way, but now your money is helping. And the higher your investments grow, the stronger this effect becomes. Eventually, something almost unbelievable happens. Your money starts producing more money than your monthly savings. And this is where compounding begins to feel almost magical. But there's another change that happens around this point that most people completely overlook. You start viewing opportunities differently. When someone lives paycheck to paycheck, opportunities often look like risks. A business idea sounds dangerous. A career change feels terrifying. Investing money feels impossible because one wrong move could create financial disaster. But when you have savings, those same situations look completely different. A business opportunity becomes something you can evaluate. A career risk becomes something you can consider. An investment becomes something you can participate in. In other words, money creates flexibility, and flexibility creates opportunity. That's what people really mean when they say money attracts money. It's not some mysterious force. It's simply that people with resources can take advantage of opportunities that others cannot. But there's another surprising shift that happens once someone crosses this threshold. They stop obsessing over small expenses. When money is tight, people spend enormous mental energy worrying about tiny financial decisions. Should I buy coffee? Should I choose the cheaper brand? Should I save $3 here or $5 there? And while these decisions can matter, they often distract from something much bigger. The decisions that actually shape someone's financial future are usually large ones. Where you live, what you earn, what you invest in, how consistently you save. Those decisions can change your financial trajectory by tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. And once someone builds a financial foundation, their focus naturally shifts towards those bigger decisions. But perhaps the most powerful shift happens in a place many people never expect: your career. When someone lives paycheck to paycheck, they feel trapped in their job. They can't easily leave. They can't negotiate strongly. They can't afford to take risks because losing their income, even temporarily, could create serious financial problems. But when someone has $20,000 saved, something powerful appears: a financial buffer. Enough money to survive several months if necessary. This creates what I like to call walking away power. Not enough to retire, but enough to make decisions without desperation. And that subtle difference changes the entire dynamic of someone's career. You become more confident asking for raises. You become more comfortable pushing back against unreasonable demands. You become more willing to explore new opportunities. And interestingly, people who approach their careers this way often end up earning more, not because they're working harder, but because they're negotiating from strength rather than fear. But here's where many people make a critical mistake. They finally reach $20,000.